Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And the content that we're going to talk about today is the brewing debacle and storm, the tempest that's going on in the Fetterman offices around one of his lead staffers admitting that Fetterman wants to abolish the Second Amendment. Now, this is going to be spread like wildfire. It's going to bring a smile to your face, a smile to your heart, and make your little finger want to hit that share button because this needs to get out, particularly to everyone in Pennsylvania, because this is the next 5 years of your lives. Like I said, everything will be linked in the description box below, and if you are new or you're a returning viewer, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, and making sure you turn that notification bell on. We need as many of you as possible to get into the fold with us, to spread information just like this in order to pass the Second Amendment along to the next generation just as we received it. Thank you so much in advance for your consideration, and let's dive in. Enough of the setup. You guys know, if you've been watching this channel for a while or just been paying attention at all, in the campaign for Senate of Pennsylvania against Mehmet Oz, he was openly anti-2A. Openly said, I want to ban assault rifles. Openly said, I want to get rid of the filibusters in order to instill common sense gun reform. This was no secret. However, a big cat out of the bag is when one of the main staffers, who lauds himself as the man in the office, says pretty much Fetterman wants to get rid of the Second Amendment completely. Now, I'm going to walk through at the end of this video or towards the middle exactly what that would entail, but that's not the big deal here, specifically since Pennsylvania is a majority of a gun-owning state, a pretty big one, and it's based in a coal industry, all of which Fetterman openly attacks. So, Pennsylvania, this is what you got. It's on display. And like I said, this is not a secret. Here's from his own account. Common sense gun laws are called that for a reason. Enough is enough. Democrats need to be ruthless plus united now. Scrap the filibuster and pass common sense gun control, supported by the majority of Americans. Well, there go the platitudes. There goes the Democratic platitudes. There goes the everyday common sense language with no specificity. And it's all about what makes you feel good. And after all, it is common sense. Well, one of the staffers got a little too big for his britches talking to a pretty girl. This does not work out well for him. Check this out.
100% for gun control. All
Like
the time.
red flag laws?
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Flags, banning on automatic rifles, like all that. Like,
I love that.
he owns like a lot of guns.
Does he own the guns that he's trying to ban?
No. Not like shotgun. Like I'm sure.
Yeah. So what exactly will he try to ban?
Assault weapons ban. Like he'd be okay with like overturning the Second Amendment probably. Like I think he would much rather prefer like nobody has guns at all.
So he would be for like completely just removing the Second
You're not
Amendment
voting,
thing?
right?
Anything?
Right?
Oh God, no.
Very specific question.
There's so much there. All right, so I think at the end there, he figured out what was going on. He's like, pretty girl asking me about politics stuff, very specific. And that person's looking at me kind of weird. Anyway, so Fetterman comes out, and this little staffer is like, oh, he would absolutely ban assault rifles. Well, we know that because assault rifle, whatever. We know that from his own tweets. But then he's like, he'd be in favor of overturning the Second Amendment. Well, removing an amendment is a pretty Herculean task in the United States, particularly since you only have about 10 states that would even consider doing it, and the rest would be like, nah, boo, ain't happening. That's the first thing. But he'd be totally for it, and he doesn't want anyone to have any guns at all. Well, that's interesting coming from the main guy who is the guy in the office who runs the Senate access points to the press, isn't it? Well, let's go back to what the NSSF said. I mean, that's the first clip I got for you. Then I got the second on how they make it happen. But let's look at what the NSSF said before he was elected. That would end if Lieutenant Governor Fetterman is able to change his job title to senator. He isn't satisfied with a ban on modern sporting rifle sales. He wants to make it illegal to possess one, so confiscation. Quote, I've always supported a ban to the assault rifle ownership, Lieutenant Governor Fetterman stated on April 11th. We shouldn't have weapons of war in the hands of civilians. Again, platitudes. Now, granted, now he can't say that sentence anymore, but that's a different problem. And here's what he said about the filibuster. And then I'm going to show you the next clip on how they facilitate this. Check this out. Lieutenant Governor Fetterman knows that the Senate procedural rule known as the filibuster is what's preventing the Senate from steamrolling America's constitutional rights. That's why he wants to get rid of it too. Correct. That's one of the main reasons why I call for the elimination of the filibuster. 80 to 90% of Americans support the banning assault rifle ownership and common sense gun control legislation. So 85 to 90% say you're just going to abolish the Second Amendment or get rid of assault weapons, huh? Well, how would you do that if you felt that way, but you couldn't get that message out? Maybe something like this, and this is where the media is completely duplicitous and they play the game. This is what else this little staffer said to the pretty girl.
They're bad reporters, but like, you know what access journalism is?
No.
It's like reporters who will basically tell whatever story like their subject wants, as long as they get the interview. Like, there's certain like Trump journalists who are accused of that because like everybody wants an interview with the guy.
Yeah.
But like, that's the thing, when you're so exclusive with who you give interviews to, it's like the ones you pick like will just say exactly what they want them to, you know? Like,
So that's why you pick the journalists that you pick, because they'll say whatever you want them to.
yeah, pretty much. Like, they won't paint it in a bad light.
Yeah, pretty much. They'll say exactly what we want to because we picked them. So they're trading their journalistic integrity for exclusivity. That's what's happening. Now, you and I have all known that. Anyone watching this video knows the media is completely biased and it's a joke of an institution across the board. But that's one of the things that's so important. That's why channels like this exist. That's why channels across the Second Amendment exist. That's why channels with independent resources going after truly what's happening to bring you information are so crucial. You just heard a staffer caught on camera for Fetterman, well, used to be for Fetterman's campaign, I'm sure he's going to get canned for this one, openly say that the Second Amendment needs to go, banning of assault rifles. Fetterman owns guns, but not for you. That's only for him, not for you. And it makes total sense to have no gun ownership at all. And the press is going to carry the water because they're going to pick the people who are going to paint him in a good light and say exactly what they want to, or they're not going to get the interview. Isn't it weird how it's all coming together? And that's what I've got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments field below, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.